If you're tired of your F30 stock display and want something that will also connect with your phone to give you Android Auto and Apple Carplay capabilities, here's how to do it. And since the screen can display more info, we might as well upgrade the 6.5-inch screen to the bigger 12.3-inch display. First, disconnect the battery in the trunk, which is behind this cover and held in by a 10mm. I also like to place in something between the cable and terminal to prevent accidental contact. Inside the car, use a plastic trim tool to remove the vent trim, but be careful as there are two wires connected to it. The top one pulls right out while the bottom one has a lock on the underside that needs to be pressed in first. Using the plastic trim tool again, wedge out the bottom trim that holds the bulb or wire for the ambient lighting. You should now have access to the 4 T20s holding in the control panel and 2 more T20s holding in the screen. Rather than disconnecting the panel, I just like to rest it in the glove box before laying down some microfiber towels. Now you can remove the 2 T20s holding in the head unit so it can slide out and rest on those microfiber towels, allowing you to take a look in the back to see if you have a fiber optic cable in one of these 2 slots. If you do, you'll need to remove it after disconnecting the main harness from the head unit by its lever lock. The last thing to remove is the screen. Gently lift it up and turn it around to expose the cable. To release it, press in this lock as you wiggle it loose. This particular screen we have from Koasan uses Linux software, which is more of a set it and forget it setup compared to the Android screens we've installed before. Inside the box, you should get a bracket for the screen itself, and all the necessary wires. On the back side of the screen, you should have a port for the OEM cable, the intermediate cable between the head unit screen, one for USB connections, and one for third-party accessories if you choose that option. We'll also install an upgraded Idrive controller since it will give us more control with the screen and a button for navigation. The supplied cable harness should have an interface for the car's wire harness and head unit, a section for third-party accessories like a front-facing camera, and an aux cable that some models have to plug in. Starting with the main wire harness, the OEM one should connect to the new main harness easily with its lever lock. Then install the fiber optic cable to the new wire harness in the same position it was in before, if you have it. Now install the supplied cable into the head unit. It should go in just like the OEM one. Take the opposite end and route it up to the top so it can connect to the screen later. While the aux cord can route down to the passenger footwell, then along the center trim and up through the bottom of the armrest, where some models will have an aux port right next to the USB port that the cable will go into. If you don't have this port, you can just tuck this cable behind the head unit, or in this case, under this cover. As for the USB cables, run the appropriate end to the top just like the main harness, and I like to route the USB end similar to the aux cable, where one will go down the passenger footwell and the other on the driver's side. Just know that these ports don't offer fast charging, so if that's something that you want, I would recommend just getting an independent charger on its own, because these ports are probably best used for passengers whose phones aren't wirelessly connected to the screen, which we'll cover towards the end of the video. When sliding back in the head unit, guide the bulky part of the wire harness back and down out of the way so the head unit can fully seat in without forcing it. Then secure it by the 2 T20s. The supplied bracket has 2 tabs that engage the locking clips that held onto the old screen. Slide it in while passing the cables through the center section. The new screen has 4 attachment points that slide into the new bracket. But to make installation easier, plug in the main OEM wire first, followed by the 2 lower cables, and the main harness last. If you also want to install a SIM card, there is a slot for that right next to the restart button. Since I don't plan to hook up a bunch of extra third-party accessories, I didn't get the third optional wire harness. But once all your cables are in, spin around the screen and align the tabs of the screen to the slots on the bracket as you take out the wire slack, then push it down into place. Time to place back on the control panel and secure it by its 4 T20 screws, followed by the lower trim and ambient lighting that will clip back into place. The last two T20s are for the screen. Just be careful not to over tighten these. The top cable of the vent trim goes in easily, but the bottom one has to be properly routed and aligned before it goes in. Don't force it, as it should glide in once it's aligned. Then rock the entire trim back into place before pressing in all the locking tabs. While it's optional, the Idrive knob is even easier and only takes about 2 minutes. With the plastic trim tool, lift up the trim from the front so you can pull out the cable followed by the 3 T20 screws. Remove your old knob and insert the new one. Just make sure the one you get has the same pin style. I just got this one from eBay, and everything for the knob install lined up perfectly and requires no coding. I'll also leave links and discount codes in the description for everything used in this video. Once the Idrive knob is installed and the trim is back in, reconnect the battery. When you turn the car on for the first time, you'll see this weird split screen. To get rid of it without coding, hold down the menu button on the Idrive knob to get to the screen setup menu. Under car settings, you can force the system into full screen mode. Hold down the menu button again, and you should have full screen. However, I don't like this stretched look and prefer to code in the OEM full screen setting. To do this, hook up the car to a battery tender and plug in your Bluetooth dongle to the OBD2 port. We'll be using BIMR code to make these changes. Once the app is connected to the car, go into the head unit section and toggle on expert mode from the top corner. Search for CID display res and select 1440/540. Then in CID display size, select 1025. Back out, and in display size resolution, select the combination of the two previous options. In this case, 10.25, 1440/540. Lastly, under display variant, select Bretez display. Once these 4 codes have been changed, hit code. Just keep in mind that these are the codes for the 12.3-inch screen. If you have a different screen size, you'll have to select the proper dimensions for your screen. Once the coding is done, the car will turn off and turn back on. The screen will also look really distorted, but just hold down the menu button until you get to the setup screen again. Scroll to car settings, and this time go into original car screen resolution and select 1440/540. Since this is an LCI model, we'll pick the Evo 2 variant. If your car's Idrive version is different, pick that version with the respective screen resolution. Now when you hold down the menu button to switch back to the BMW interface, it should display 3 tiles just like the OEM setup instead of 2, and it should not have that stretched look. If all looks good, go ahead and remove the dongle. To connect your phone with Android Auto, hold down the menu button, and under the home menu, go into the Bluetooth setting to find your device's name. Then connect through your phone. To connect through Carplay, the process is the same as the Android Auto. Go into the Bluetooth setting under the Home tab to find your device's name, then connect through your phone. Now you can remove your battery tender and go for a test drive. Just know that this Linux screen, although it's cheaper than the Android screen, is designed to work with your phone. It cannot run apps independently on its own. So if your phone battery isn't charged or you have poor connection, there is a chance that you won't have access to your maps or music apps if you didn't download them. However, if you keep a charger in your car, being disconnected due to a low battery should never be an issue. Plus, if you prefer a simple set it and forget it setup, this is a more cost-effective way to get CarPlay and Android Auto integration with a better and bigger screen. But if you want all the bells and whistles of the Android screen, or if you're interested in the digital cluster from earlier, check out these videos, and I'll see you in that one.